Okay, moving forward to I think this is the biggest game of the week. Some people may disagree, but there's a couple of candidates. This is one I think is the most fascinating. Number 8, Oregon on the road at number 7, Washington. The Huskies are 3-point home favorites, and this game carries an over-under of 67.5 points. Kicks off at 3:30 p.m. Eastern on ABC, and it is, of course, College Game Day's pick to be at for this week. They first met in 1900. This is the 115th total meeting, among the most in the country. Washington leads the all-time series 61-48-5, but Oregon is 15-3 outright since 2004. There is rain expected. We are talking about Seattle, Washington, the Fall Guys, but there's not much wind, so I don't think that there's going to be many elemental impacts on here. Something that is an impact, though, star wide receiver Jalen McMillan has missed the last 2 games with an injury. He's reportedly ready to go coming off the bye. But just keep an eye if he's hobbled, if he's a step slow, if he's on a snap count. That's why Washington has plenty of other weapons on their team. I said it last week. If you're looking to take a national championship future on either of these teams, be it Oregon or Washington, now's the time to do so. Don't wait for this game to play out. Call your shot and make that future bet now. I actually bet Washington myself to win the title a couple of weeks back at a pretty nice price. And the same goes for the Heisman markets too. Penix, Nix, if you're looking to get ahead of it, bet it now. Don't wait for the game to play out. This is truly a battle between 2 elite teams. Oregon is number 1 in EPA margin on the year. Washington is number 2. Shout out to Dr. Parker Fleming at Stats-O-War on Twitter, one of the best follows all over Twitter. I do use a lot of his numbers in the handicapping, so I always appreciate the assist there. The worst unit in this game, though, is by a long shot, is Washington's run defense. They're 101st in success rate. And Oregon so happens to be number 1 success rate on offense, rushing the football. So a big lopsided thing there. I think there's a big-time opportunity for Bucky Irving, for Bo Nix himself. No, Whittington's out for the season, so they won't have him as the kind of number 2 punch there. But they got plenty of other guys. And check, this is just a little nugget that I love. Oregon offensive tackle Ajani Cornelius came in from Rhode Island. He was a transfer, one of the most coveted tackles in the portal. And through 6 weeks, they played 5 games, but 6 weeks, he's one of 2 tackles in the nation with no pressures allowed. That is absolutely impossible if you're a tackle allowing 0 pressures. He is an elite football player. He'll be getting plenty of Braylon Trice, I'm sure, on the other side and some of that Washington front. The Huskies are 128th in sack rate. Again, this has been an issue for a couple of years. It's sub 3%. On the other side, though, Oregon's very improved. They're 4th in sack rate. Penix is going to have to get the ball out a lot quicker than he has been. He's been about 2.7, I think, on average time to release. He's going to have to be a little bit quicker on that to avoid this pass rush. But to really boil it down just to the basics, I think I like Michael Penix in the passing attack better, and I like Oregon here. There's a reason I took their future instead of Oregon.
Yeah, Brett, you said it. With a watchability score of 9.8 out of 10. Yeah, out of 10. This is my number 1 game of Week 7. It's the number 6 game of the entire regular season now at this point. It has the potential to be the game of the year in the Pac-12, especially with both teams being well-rested coming off of their off weeks here. Let's start with the resumes. I have Washington number 10 in my most deserving rankings. Only a 39% chance that the average top 25 team would be 5-0 against that schedule. That's number 10 nationally. Huskies are outscoring their opponents by 12.7 points per game more than would be expected of the average top 25 team. That's number 4 nationally. Oregon's number 12 in the most deserving rankings. They have the number 14 record achievement, the number 2 relative scoring margin. They're outscoring their opponents by 15.4 points per game, more than would be expected. Only Oklahoma has a better relative scoring margin than the Ducks. The winner in this one is only going to boost their resume further by collecting a win against a top 10 power-rated team. Again, that's how we build resumes. Your opponent's power rating, not their ranking. The loser really won't be hurt too much in the most deserving rankings because the average top 25 team wouldn't have a great win expectancy against either one of these teams because they are so good. Predictably speaking, I have this as a pick'em. It's the slightest of leans to Oregon. It's a 52% win expectancy. Kind of like what I said last week. The model was liking Oklahoma by 1.5. I kind of thought in my gut maybe Texas was the better team. I went with the model. It worked out in that case. This game gives me similar feels, though, where the model, this one's truly a pick 'em, but it's a 52% win expectancy for Oregon. In my gut, I kind of think, and maybe it's because the game's at Washington, I kind of think Washington might win this game, but the model saying a pick 'em with a lean to Oregon. So that's what we'll roll with for official stances. These two teams are eerily similar, Brett. They have amazing offenses led by Heisman-level quarterbacks with defenses that are much better than expected, at least relative to my expectations coming into the year. The Ducks are currently power rated at a season-best 23.7. That's number 6 nationally. The offense has been top 6 all year. They're currently number 4, while the defense is up to a season-best number 18. Washington's been in the top 10 of the power ratings for the past month. They're currently number 9. The offense remains number 2 for the 3rd consecutive week behind only conference foe USC, while the defense has been in the mid-20s for 5 weeks in a row. Now, we talked about it. This game is in Seattle. This is one of my favorite venues in all of college football. I absolutely love when that siren is blasting on 3rd down, 4th down. Like, I get chills, like, thinking about it and listening to it, and I'm not a Washington fan. I'm not a Washington hater. I'm neutral when it comes to Washington, but I love when they get that siren going. Something about being up in the Pacific Northwest, I don't know. It's a huge advantage for the Dogs, and it very well could come down to the home field or which offense has the ball last. Like, that's what this game could ultimately be with how good these offenses are. The winner of this game will be in the pole position, of course, to make the conference championship game. Oregon would have an 87% chance to make it to Las Vegas, while Washington would have a 76% chance to make it with a win. The loser will fall to 3rd in those odds, behind the winner, of course, and USC. All that does, though, is make their upcoming games against the Trojans that much more important. Both these teams have to play USC later. We got the mini round robin out there in the Pac-12. I can't wait for it. Bottom line, I have this game as a pick'em. 52% win expectancy for Oregon. But in my gut, I kind of think Washington might be in the better spot here. That's K Ford, the ratings, versus Kelley Ford, the person. We'll see how it all plays out. But it should be a fantastic game either way.
Can I ask you to project or I guess take a guess here? You currently have Oklahoma, your number 1 in most deserving rankings, followed by Florida State, Ohio State, Texas. Washington, you said, is at 10. Oregon is at 12. Do we see a new number 1 from the winner of this game, do you think?
I don't think so, Brett. So I'm going to put out later this week, and I haven't run it yet, basically who can improve their resume the most. I started doing that last week, and I really like it. It's the top 20 teams of, hey, with a win, they would improve their resume the most, given the opponent they're beating, the location, the difficulty, all of that. When I look at the most deserving rankings, I look at the gap that we have right now from Washington at 10, Oregon at 12, and Oregon would get more credit in the resume boost than Washington would, because these teams are so similar in the power rating, and because Oregon's on the road. Oregon has the average top 25 team would have a lower win expectancy in Oregon's shoes at Washington than in Washington's shoes playing at home to Oregon. So that's kind of, some people can't understand that, and I get it. It's a little bit tricky, but the two teams going into the game, they don't have an equal opportunity to build their resume. Ohio State and Purdue, a game we talked about earlier, Purdue's going to get much more credit for beating Ohio State, even at home, than Ohio State would get for beating Purdue on the road because of where those teams are power rated. To answer your question, I haven't run it yet. I don't believe Washington or Oregon could make the jump all the way up to number 1. Oklahoma and Florida State have done a really good job building resumes to this point at number 1 and 2. But the winner here absolutely jumps up into the top 5. Maybe they even get into the number 4 spot there potentially. So there's a lot on the line for both these teams. And the good news for them both, it's not over after this week. Win or lose, you still got more opportunities because the Pac-12, the USC game, and others, you've got opportunities to build your resume in the Pac-12 this year, which maybe we haven't had in years past. For Pac-12's sake, they're hoping they don't cannibalize each other as they always have. They're hoping someone can kind of run the table and really be that team. This week is the first domino for that.
Yeah, I think Washington wins this game, again, at home. One of the better environments in college football. That's a big step up. This isn't like last week where Red River's in a familiar neutral sider. This one's at Washington, so I think I'm going to take them to win the game. Just looking at like proper betting mechanics, though, +3 is the correct side if you're looking for Oregon, and -2.5 is the correct side for Washington if you're looking to bet the Huskies there. So just opportunity. Whatever you're looking to bet here, I would say it's all opportunity-based.